Hey guys, it's Shauna from Heritage Creations Cut Flowers, and I just decided I'm going to do kind of a weekend review, and I don't know, we'll see how you like it. So Sunday I planted out the first sunflowers of the year 2025. Planted them in the hoop house, 2 trays of Horizon Pro Cut sunflowers, and obviously they went in the hoop house because we're zone 8A and our last frost date is somewhere between April 11th and 20th. So the 2 trays were able to fit in the hoop house. I did kind of have to squeeze a few in between the onions that I have in the hoop house, but it'll be fine. I'll be fine. And they're growing quite nicely, actually. It's been about a week, and I'll show you this. I did start 2 more trays of the Horizon Pro Cut. They're still on the heat mat in the workroom or seed starting station, and they'll probably go out the next couple days. So what we did is out in the garden, the upper garden, we have already gotten that row ready, and we've put tall hoops over that. So we're going to put frost cloth over those until after our last frost date. Hopefully they won't get too tall, so it's just going to be like a low tunnel over those, and hope that they'll grow well under the low tunnel. Plus the low tunnel will protect them from the bunnies. I'm still having a lot of bunny issues where the bunnies are eating the plants, and I haven't really found anything better other than covering my plants with the insect netting. Luckily, I've covered the plants that they'd like to eat with insect netting. The bunnies have not gotten through the insect netting. They could if they wanted to, but thank goodness they haven't. I kind of check around and see what they like to eat. So far, knock on wood, they haven't gotten to the snapdragons, the feverfew, or the bells of Ireland, the larkspur, and the buplorum. And I really haven't wanted to order more netting because it's expensive. That insect netting is expensive. It seems like as soon as I cover one thing that they like to eat, then they move on to something else. And I did plant out my Lysianthus and my Scoop Scabby and my Gadisha, and I went ahead and covered that just preemptively because I didn't even want to give them a chance to decide if they like that. We just decided to go ahead and order a bigger roll of the insect netting because I did start some warm season things, and that was another thing that happened this week. I started the Ageratum, the Cosmos, and Basil. That's what I started. I already have the whole tray of Ageratum, little tiny, that's all germinated. The Ageratum germinated really well. The Cosmos have germinated really well. For some reason my Basil hasn't. Just have a few of those. Oh, and I've also tried pink chamois aster. I have a few of those germinated. So we'll see. This week was Aaron's 27th birthday. Can you believe he's 27? I don't think he looks 27. And we did a little celebration for him.
Birthday boy's special birthday dinner. 27, 2 treats and 7 treats. No, it's not your birthday. So you're saying, okay, happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Aaron. Happy birthday. Gully's coming. Are you saying happy birthday too? Look, he gets a special birthday tree. That's not for a donkey. Look.
It's not for
Here.
donkey.
Come on, Gully. Gully, come on. Gully.
That's not for
Gully.
So he's a retired event horse. Our daughter, Jamie, she got him as a reject dressage horse. He didn't like doing circles in the sand. What he really liked to do is run fast and jump big, and so did she. So they did a lot of that. We went to a lot of shows. He took great care of her. She took him up to the 2-star level, which was a pretty high level in eventing, if you know anything about eventing. And eventing is where you do have to do dressage and stay in cross country and stadium jumping. He still never liked going in the dressage ring. He did it for her. He did beautiful dressage at home, but not at shows. That was just not his thing. And then he was just rock solid on the cross country. Loved it. And stadium. So he just liked to run fast and jump big, and he always took care of her. Meaning in the horse world, that means if you don't see the right stride to a jump, then if the horse takes care of you, they figure out the right stride and take it in stride, and you both always come home safe. So at many shows, as I'm walking him out or doing the things with him, I promised him he would always have a safe home here, and so he does. And now it's our turn to take care of him. Thus, we got Gully. As we downsized, and one of our horses is down the street at a friend's, being a lesson horse, Aaron needed a friend. We got Gully. They're the best of friends. And Gully brings tons of character. Gully's the donkey. And keeps Aaron super young. So it's a great match. All right, another thing we have going on this week, as you can see, chair behind me, trays in and out. If the weather's good like today, it's going to go up to 70. So I did bring all of my plants out to have a little play date outside. Not all of them, not the ones that are still under lights, obviously. But so they're out here hardening off, doing their thing out here. A lot of these, well, the dahlias I grew from seed, from my own seed, and I think I've said in the past that those are going to be a gift with purchase for Mother's Day. And then I have some pansies and some coleus, and those are all for me because I do like, especially around the farm stand that we have out in front of our, that's where everybody buys their bouquets from. I like to go ahead and obviously in the pots and whatnot make that look really pretty. So I try to start the things out there from seed to make it more affordable. So I have a lot of that going, pansies, and then I also started the geraniums and the coleus. Some of it is sun and some of it is shade. And then we started this as veggies, and I want to grow more veggies this year. I want to be more intentional about that. So I've started the potatoes and the peppers. The potatoes are already potted up outside, and the tomatoes and the peppers and cucumbers and lettuce and onions in there and garlic. Okay, so I have all that. And then we're doing a pollinator area. So we already have one side. We started last year going around the upper garden. We've got one side as a pollinator area, and I didn't really have much to fill that in with but a few seed dahlias. So I have that area, and I'm going to fill that in more with some of the things I have for the pollinator area. And then some of what I have going on back here, I'm going to put more of that out. I've got some milkweed, some coreopsis, and verbena, and some salvia and different things that are going out in the pollinator area. Some of this also is for my son and daughter-in-law, the ones that we did the flowers for the wedding. We are also doing their front yard. They want to turn their front yard into a pollinator friendly area. So I've started a lot of seed for them to put in their front yard. Let me tell you what, I have had trouble starting some Joe Pye weed, trying to start that. What else have I had trouble with? Oh, balloon flower. I have started a ton of balloon flower and only have like 2 germinated. So some of these native plants are much harder to start, but trying. But over here, lupin, that's how you're supposed to say it. My mom told me I'm supposed to say it lupin. I'm learning my English. So I'm going to be more intentional this year about in the flower field, putting out some more sustainable practices. One idea is to do a beetle bank at the end of the row. So I've got some nasturtium. I have some of that already started. That's really good for an aphid trap crop, so I have that. And then I have some alyssum. They're really good they're a favorite for the hoverfly, and the hoverfly larvae devour aphids. So they really attract the hoverfly, and the hoverfly larvae devour the aphids. So they're really good at helping the aphid population. So I have a lot of that. You can plant that under dahlias, sunflowers, zinnias, amaranth, all the things. And then you want to plant lots of umbel plants, which I have those going, as far as dill and cilantro. Obviously I have Bupleurum, Ami, that kind of thing. They attract a lot of the predatory wasps, so I have a lot of those going. And then of course the butterfly weed, that also attracts aphids, which is a good feeding source for some of the predators again. I want to plant those in what I'm calling the pollinator area, kind of on the side, and we're going to make one in the front around the upper garden. And then obviously again, some of them are going to my son and daughter-in-laws, so I'm going to do that. And then obviously I want to also plant some at the end of the rows. So if I can intermix that and then have in the lower garden, and then have that pollinator area in the upper garden, then hopefully if we can balance out some of this ecology, I guess we'll call it, hopefully we can get a handle on some of the bug situation. We had lots of trouble with armyworms last year, some hornworms, even got into my cosmos, believe it or not, and my Gadaisha. What else do we have trouble? Well, obviously we have trouble with bunnies, but that's not going to help the bunnies. And I have heard that the 5th year is when everything finds you. And this would be our 5th year if you count when we started just growing the veggies, and have been growing since then. So they say, you know, oh, and last year we also had some trouble with thrips getting into some of our snapdragons. We just had to cut those, couldn't use those, just cut those, bag those, took those off. Luckily after that I did a nematode drench, and that really helped. And thank goodness I didn't see any thrips after that. So I have used some beneficial insects, which is what the nematode drench was. I've used some beneficial insects, but I really haven't ordered anything other than like a nematode drench. And since we don't really spray, I am trying to attract more birds, because the birds really help as far as, you know, the caterpillars. I mean, we've had, like, at the end of last year, I was having a lot of my sunflowers just as soon when I direct seeded them, they would pop up, and then the cutworms would just eat them off right at soil level. And then, so cutworms, armyworms, and of course you have all your normal, like Japanese beetles. We just have to handpick those and put those in the soapy water. The soapy water actually helped a lot with the armyworms. As soon as I would see them, I could put them in, and if I sprayed them with soapy water, that would kill them also. But when you have a huge infestation, sometimes I would find them super tiny little, and they would just have like just hatched or whatever, and they would be all over like a couple leaves, and I would just cut that and douse it in the water, and that would kill them all. But so I know we're going to have that again. I have to figure out how to deal with that. Bob and I did a fertilization. I mixed. He then did a foliar spray with it. And what we use is, we use this LAB solution that you make from milk. So you put the rice water in the milk, and you let the milk separate. And basically you use the whey portion of the milk for your LAB solution. And then I've made a calcium solution where I put crushed up shells. You can use eggshells, but I never have enough eggshells because we feed those back to our chickens. So I use crushed oyster shells and apple cider vinegar, and you let that sit for a period of time, and then you draw off the liquid of that, and that has a high calcium solution, so it's a calcium solution. And then I use kelp, and that I buy off Amazon, a kelp solution. And then I use a seaweed. It's from Maxi Crop, and it's their seaweed, and it's a powder, but you mix it with the water. And blackstrap molasses, unsulfured. So in a 3-gallon tank, I mix 6 ounces of the molasses, 6 ounces of the kelp, 6 tablespoons of the calcium solution, 3 tablespoons of the LAB solution, and 3 teaspoons of the seaweed, and that's a dry powder, and then I mix that all together up in a cup. And then you have to use rainwater, because if you use regular water, then it's going to kill all the bacteria that are in there. Use rainwater, and we have a rainwater catch system, if you've seen that. And we put that into the sprayer, we mix it all up. 3 gallon, it's a 3-gallon sprayer, so this is for 3 gallons. And then he foliar feeds as long as that will go, and then while I'm mixing the other one, then he comes back. And so we did the whole field with that foliar feed. And then luckily we did get some rain. We had a storm come through, and this is probably going to bite us in the butt. But typically we do, anytime the rain comes, it always goes around us. It's happened to us so many times. And it's usually a bad situation, meaning we're dry, we need rain, the rain's coming, it splits, it goes around us, and we don't get any rain. This time we had a bad storm coming, high winds, hail, all the things. I was really worried it was going to tear up my netting, it was going to tear up the plants. I was super, super worried. It came, the wall came, it split and went right around us. We took a video, I'll have to show you right there. So last month we foliar fed this same recipe at the beginning of the month, and then we foliar fed at the beginning of this month, and then in 2 weeks, I think, so not this week but next week, we're going to do the ranunculus and the scoop scabby. There's a little part of the scoop scabby that's staying a little bit too dry and not looking the best, so I think we're going to do those in 2 weeks. So that was another thing we got done this week. It's been a busy week, but it's just been these little things, so it's not like super exciting to do it all. All right, well, I think that's about it. We do have our narcissus, our daffodils are coming up, so that's fun. I don't really have yet, I have one florist that buys from me, and I know she wants my snapdragons when they start coming up. I don't have a collection of florists to fall back onto yet. So I have hellebores, and I have several hellebores that could be cut and sold, and then I'm going to have these narcissus or double daffodils. They might just all bloom out this year, and they're all first year anyways. They might just bloom out this year, and then that's a project for this year, is getting more florists on board. And I'm also, again, working, I've got my website set up and ready to go. I'm working on Mother's Day. That's really what I'm kind of focused on right now, is working on Mother's Day, getting the website set up so people can go there to order. I'm working with a local ceramic artist, and she's making some vases, and so we're going to make, one option will be it'll include a vase and the bouquet, and then obviously a gift with the dahlia. So we'll see how that goes. The anemones are just coming up just a little bit, doing their little short bloom thing. So they're starting. I haven't seen any budding up on my ranunculus. Again, this is first year growing ranunculus. So far they're looking good, but I can't wait to see how they bloom. Meaning I've never, in the past when I've grown them, they've done terrible. So I'm not sure, again, how this is going to go. And so I'm keeping my fingers crossed. And so if that goes well, then I can do more next year, and hopefully then I'll also have a couple of florists on board who will buy them. I mean, not that I can't use them in bouquets, because I can, but I'd rather be growing more ranunculus for the florist. That was the first week of March, and I thought it was pretty busy, but yeah, it was a whole bunch of little things, and it just seemed like a whole bunch of choppy mess being put together. Right now, Bob is under the house, so he's super excited. Not really, he hates doing that. He's under the house putting in a spigot in the front of the house. We've never had a spigot in the front of the house. We have one back here and one on the side, but we need one in the front so that we can coordinate our drip system better with watering, and obviously it's just easier if we have one in the front to go straight out front to water. That would be super exciting if that got done. And I'm gonna start I'm probably gonna start here pretty soon taking cuttings of my mums. I have some mother mums over here. I'm gonna start taking cuttings so that then in July I can plan all those out. It's getting ramped up around here. What about around where you guys are? Let me know. Thanks.